Are we ready, sweet peas, for the rendezvous? First up, we have Venus Darogue Morgan.
Oh,
Next up, we have Mercury Wilde.
Hi.
And last but not least, it's me, Miss Tyffanie
Oh,
Morgan.
she cut off the music.
Yeah, I cut the music now. Yes, that's right.
like, how do
Warn a bitch next time. I was in the middle of grooving. Okay.
Oh, that was a really great song. Thank you. So, Mercury, you found that song for us, so thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome. I tried very hard.
Hours
Very
and hours
nice.
of listening. Mm. Sorry, Saturday. I'm having myself a little drink.
Oh, yes. Me as well.
I don't have a drink, but here we are.
All I can taste right now is vodka antiseptic.
Antiseptic.
Gotta fight off the Rona.
Who needs eyesight anyway? Let me tell you.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for tuning in, everybody. This is so
Thank you.
exciting.
I know. This is the initial rendezvous, the rendezvous.
Yes.
The first one.
Welcome to the rendezvous.
Yeah. Is it even a rendezvous? If it's the first, I don't know. I guess.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
it's,
We'll get back to you
rendezvous.
on that.
Yeah.
I'm Tyffanie Morgan, drag queen extraordinary here in Kingston, Ontario, Canada, home of Limestone, home to me. And I've been doing drag for about 21 years, and I gave birth to, where is that? Oh, that one.
This one. Me. Hi, I am Venus Darogue. For those of you that don't know me, I'm Miss Tiffany's daughter. I was Miss Kingston Pride some years ago. I don't even remember what year, but it was a very, very, very long time ago.
2013.
Was it 2013? Oh my god, I've been okay. Yeah, so Venus was born about 8 years ago. So there you go. And then this is my daughter.
Last but not oldest. Yes, my name is Mercury Wilde. You wouldn't know we're related because none of us have the same name. But I am the daughter of Venus, granddaughter of Tyffanie, even though she hates to admit it. And I've been doing drag since 2015. So 6 years, 6 and a bit. And the year that Venus won Miss Kingston Pride, I was still in high school.
She was, and I was not in high school.
And in 2013, I was definitely not in high school.
No, you were not.
I was in self-admitted rehab.
Yeah.
It was for the greater good of everybody.
Stuff.
So I don't know about everybody watching, but for us specifically, we are stuck in Ontario. Not stuck in Ontario, but we're stuck in Ontario right now.
We're stuck in Ontario.
We're stuck here.
We're stuck. We are stuck. Ontario is like Canada's problem child right now, and we are just trying to make the most of it. So we figured instead of descending into madness by ourselves, why not film it and let everybody see it either live or recorded back? And surprisingly, these two said that was a good idea. So here we are.
Actually, now that you're talking about that, do you remember the first meeting we had to bounce the idea? You're going on and on and on and on and on, and I'm like, yeah.
Yeah, you were.
You had to add, let's do something.
Yeah. We weren't sure if you loved it or you hated it. We were like, is she okay?
Here we are.
So this is the first attempt at this show. We are gonna be kind of winging it. We don't exactly know what we're doing.
There is a bit of a format.
But we have a plan in place. We have some things we want to talk about. And let's get this show started. Let's see how it goes.
So the overall arching theme, because we're gonna do like a little talk show sort of thing here. So overall arching theme, I wonder what we're gonna be talking about. Are we gonna be talking about how Miss Rona fucked up everything? Yes,
I think
we
so.
are. I think we are. All right.
We're going to be talking about how coronavirus done fucked up drag, done fucked up social lives, done fucked up every industry there is. It's
The D. Hold
The
on.
D is gone. The D is
say,
gone. Oh
say that
my God.
again. Say that again.
D. Capital.
Capital D.
Stands for donkey.
Yeah. Donkey dick.
Oh my God.
That's
All
it.
right. So
Donkey
we'll get to personal relationships later. We'll get to personal relationships later. So hey ladies.
Hi,
As I
girl.
look over here at the script.
Hello.
Oh yes. When you were first told to go home like 13 months ago, do you remember your initial reactions and thoughts?
Yeah, so I remember when this was all happening, I was actually interning at a communications agency at the time. And I remember it was really weird because the day before they told us to go home, everyone was just like, oh my God, what was happening? And like, no one was doing any of their work. And then all of a sudden, like the office is like, okay, if you want to, those who want to come into the office tomorrow can, and those who want to stay home, who don't feel like it's safe coming in, can stay home. So like, needless to say, no one went into the office the next day.
You giving us the option?
Yeah. Yeah. So everyone was at home. No one wanted to take public transit to go into work because I work downtown. I live downtown Toronto. I was working in Liberty Village, which is also in the core of the city. And it was like so strange because I remember no one was out after that. Everyone, the only people that were going out were the people that had to be in, like, going to work. So the city got really, 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 really quiet. And I'm just like, this is my first time in an office. I'm like 2.5 months into my 3-month internship. So I only have 2 weeks of my internship left. I remember the experience was so weird because like after that had happened, they were like, we're not sure if there's going to be any work for you working here because it's communication. So all the programs and all the events that they were doing were like getting canceled because we were having events and they didn't know in the foreseeable future when we were going to have events. So it was a very weird and surreal experience. I remember it felt so quiet in the city, and it's kind of like what I really take from that like moment.
So Mercury, what about you? Same question then. What were you thinking when you were told?
Yeah. Well, I work in a hair salon. So I don't think really had the inclination that things were going to be this bad because we left for the weekend and like we had all of our tools were still at the salon. We thought that we were going to be going back on Tuesday. And then I think it was the Monday, it was announced that everything was shutting down and we had clients the next day. So it was a bit shocking when it was like, go home for 2 weeks and we're going to like revisit this. And eventually it became like 6 months. And so when it was like toilet paper time, when people were like in absolute panic mode, the city was a little weird. Yeah, like when you'd go for a walk, because that's all you could really do. It's all you really can do still. Just seeing how bare the streets were when like last week, it was business as completely normal. So it was weird. It was almost like at first like, oh, we get a bit of a break now. Because I haven't had spring break since I was in high school. And then that quickly got old, and it's still old. Not to say that I don't believe that we should be, in lockdown and taking all these precautions, but I haven't been off of work this long since I started working, like when I was 14. So I think I speak for everybody who is off and who's been off this entire time, that it's been fucking weird.
Mm-hmm. And that's another thing I remember when you're like, it's 2 weeks. I remember that like people were like, oh, it's only in the last 2 weeks. So only be in lockdown for 2 weeks. And it was just like.
You're still working, right, Tiff?
Well, yeah. So I'll speak up now. Yeah. So it was interesting when we were being told, because we all thought it was just 2 weeks as well, right? Like everyone thought it was just, it's just going to be 2 weeks. So because of the type of work that I was doing, I was like, well, I can do my work from home. And so everyone was like, okay, do your work from home sort of thing. I was doing it on my personal laptop, logging into the systems and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, we all thought it was going to be 2 weeks tops. It was actually a bit of a surprise when it first, when the rumors happened the week of. It was starting to like kind of you were kind of getting a little panicked. You're like, what? What's this all about? Like
Yeah.
not going into work. That's not possible. That's like welcome to North America. You go into work 9 to 5. But yeah, it slowly but surely evolved into me fully working from home 24/7, right? So within whatever the third or fourth week, because it was just supposed to be 2 weeks,
Yep.
working on my personal laptop, then it was setting up time to come into the office to pick up your equipment, and if you want your chair, pick up your chair and, bring it into your home. And here's how to set up a home office. I was doing articles for our 300 plus employees. And I'm like, oh, okay, so this is, oh, if you have a dining, like a little breakfast nook or something, how to set up ergonomics in your living room and, how to work from home sort of situation. So, but yeah, so I've been working home from home, every since then, and got the home office set up, and actually I just got because I had the option, but of course I don't drive and I don't own a vehicle. I just picked up my office chair yesterday.
Oh my God, girl, what have you been
A
saying?
year later.
Well, this office chair, let me tell you, it's like deluxe, like it's got like it feels like it's got Egyptian cotton to it and stuff like that. And let me, and
Back
it's
support.
heavy, but it's
Back
like
support.
oh yeah, you could be like total Darth Vader kind of thing, like I don't need to get up ever again.
She's feeling that force.
So I'm gonna jump question. So you two live in Toronto, and I think some of you have talked about it. But have you been back to work? And how are your friends working and living in Toronto these days? What's the change been like, Venus?
Yeah, so the same agency that I interned at had offered me a contract later in the year, like during the summer. And I was back at work. It was kind of weird working from home. It's not a great experience. And I also live with like 10 other people because I live in this big huge house that has 10 gays in it. And then I remember it felt like, I don't know, there was something very odd about not having that delineation between like going to work and working and then coming home and then having like leaving the work aside. It was like I felt I was always on, and I don't know if anyone has any experience with agencies, but agencies are very, very busy, and you have like lots of clients. So you're always jumbling up your work, and you're always like trying to like get your schedule to like work the way it is, and most of the times it does not. But but that's okay because you communicate with other people. And I remember it was kind of tough because I was stressed about like doing all this work and like working from home in this pretty much in this environment that I was really not used to. Because I was like working in the office before for like only like a very short period of time, and before that I was just in school. So I remember I found it very stressful. Like in the fall, I was like starting to like really like it's like as the lockdowns are happening and you can't go outside anymore, it's just like, oh my God, I feel like I'm crashing because it just kept on going and going and going. But I really needed some time to like slow down for myself. And I think it goes to say like it was contract work, and I wish I had like taken more of an opportunity to be like, hey, I need to step away from this and maybe come back to it. But I kind of was like, I don't know, like who knows with contract work if they're gonna like take you back or not, right? So, and you can't really like take time. You don't have any sick days. You can't like take a day off because you're on contract. So I remember it was like very, yeah, I don't know. It was tough. It was definitely very, very tough going as it progressed and working for myself anyway. But as I've seen like other people work and like my roommates work, I think like it's different. Like some people can manage it, some people can't, and I just like I'm one of those people that needs to like go in and like have that separation because I can just like sit down and do my work at the office and then like come home and like just relax.
Well, yeah, I'm just thinking for myself. I have the luxury of space, and I was able to make a dedicated room that's the office, like close the door, open the door, sort of thing. So it must be tough for you because of the roommate situation.
Mhm.
Mercury. So same question. Have you been back to work?
So yeah, we were allowed to open in June last year. So we were off from, what was it? March, sometime in March. So March to June we were off, and then June to November we were open again. And it was good. It was a lot to kind of get used to at first. Like working with like a face shield and all the PPE, the protocol, especially being in personal care, because like everything after you look at it has to get sanitized. So just like all these new steps that like we knew were crucial to making salon life work. And then I'd say we got fairly used to it and like got into the swing of things. But then once November was rolling around and we kind of saw like the history repeating itself of like February and March, we kind of had an idea of like what was going to happen. However, I would say the second lockdown, like this lockdown, I'm feeling it a lot more, of just like this feeling of not exactly having a purpose, or not exactly having something to fill my days with. And it's been tough, like just getting mentally and emotionally into a better spot where I want to be doing creative things and I want to be doing drag and stuff like that. And yeah, going back in between the first and second lockdown was actually pretty good. Something to do with your time because there's nothing open and there's nothing to do. So I was like, might as well go fucking make some money.
Yeah, so yeah, to mirror some of what you're saying there, Mercury, too, because I've had some dark times too. Like, even though I'm working from home and I'm trying to stay busy and stuff, there were some times where suddenly I'm like, why do I have this anxiety, or why am I like so anxious, or something like that, and I think what I've trying to learn from this whole experience is kind of like those sort of self-care sort of things, right? Like trying to stay knowing your personal health and your emotions and stuff like that, and then trying to do something about those and stuff like that. So if I'm feeling anxious, what am I going to do to try not to feel anxious about things? And yeah, it's still a challenge, obviously. This whole working from home, it still is a challenge, mostly because not being able to see people. But from a work perspective, I'm doing really, really well. I'm doing really, really well working from home.
Must be nice. Must be nice.
Yeah, I know. It's a luxury, and it's a privilege. I totally understand. My line of work.
I'm fucking with you.
My line. My line of work. But it has been a challenge when it comes to drag, though. It's been a huge challenge.
Absolutely.
We were able to do some in-person live shows here in Kingston when we were in the green zone and you guys were still in the red zone and all that kind of stuff. But it required me, like, I had to buy this, like, PVC stuff to separate the drag queens from the rest of the audience, and we had to social distance all the tables and stuff like that. It was and then you have people who were not willing to come out because they were too nervous to go out, right?
Mm-hmm. Totally.
So it's been challenging. And one last question then.
Yeah.
So I need to do drag shows only because it's my kind of creative outlet. But how has the drag scene been in Toronto? And we're really kind of down to the minutes here. So Mercury, Venus, go first. One minute.
Oldest to youngest. I actually haven't been. I mean, I haven't been doing drag until like quite recently. So I think like a lot of it's been transformed into online shows and stuff like that. I know a few of my friends will often like watch online shows and like see the online videos and like for stuff to support the artists because they're not performing right now, especially in lockdown. And then even before the lockdown, this summer, the shows were very slim because they couldn't have the full capacity at the bar. Like you don't walk in a cruise and tangos and it's not like shoulder to shoulder with people next to you anymore. There's like tables and it's like sectioned off.
Yeah.
So it's really hard for people from the service industry as well as drag artists because like they're not making those tips, and then like the drag queens aren't making those tips either because they get that profit. Mercury, you can shed some more light into it.
So when I moved to Toronto, it was 6 months before everything went to shit, and so I feel like I was really just kind of dipping my toe into the drag waters here, and like just about to kind of like hit my stride, and then it was like go home. But I think in many different circles, not just like Toronto, like things have gone virtual where it's either a full show or people are doing kind of like what we're doing now, like hosting little talk shows or starting a podcast or doing shows outside on a lawn in the middle of the day. Like there were people pulling up like patches of grass at 2 p.m. on a Sunday in the heat, which is the natural enemy of the drag artist. And it's like, this is what we're doing now. This is what we're doing.
Well, thank you so much for answering my questions. Who's next?
And you're like, ooh, it's my turn now. Yeah, so I guess I just wanted to talk about like our relationships with people during the pandemic. I know it's been quite like a hard time connecting.
Oh, hey Andy, how's it going?
Hey Andy. Yeah, I just really wanted to talk about like our relationships with people during the pandemic. I know it's been really hard, and like because we're in this like more of a digital age right now, it's like we connect to people a lot differently than we did. So I guess like my first question is how have your relationships with your family and friends and people that have been important to you, or how have they been impacted by the pandemic, like those relationships themselves? And I'll leave this one off to Mercury.
Okay. So I think one of the biggest impacts is I haven't been home to see like my family in Kingston in over a year now. And it was kind of like, we get close to this idea of like, ooh, traveling back to Kingston or wherever you're from, like maybe it's doable, maybe I can go ahead and do it. And then it seemed like almost every single time I was feeling confident in traveling or getting on a train or something like that, the cases would spike or we'd go back into a gray zone. It really just isn't a good idea to travel. And then you don't want to be that girl that's crossing city lines when you really shouldn't be. Canceled. So I think that's the biggest one that's been impacted, other than like physical relationships, whether it be platonic or sexual. But then when it comes to friends, I mean, like I have my 2 roommates here, and we've been seeing each other every single day. So like I think this is one of the times that having roommates is so beneficial, because I see so many people who do live by themselves right now, and I don't know what I'd be doing, honestly. So I think that's something that has strengthened. And then when it comes to like physical relationships or intimate relationships, girl, where are they? They've been non-existent.
Mm-hmm.
I think for me, because I'm assuming I'm next, right?
Yes.
So yeah, it's been an interesting evolution of relationships. So like family wise, me and my sister, we gotten a lot closer actually, which is like you would think it'd be complete opposite, but no, we've gotten much closer. We chat like on Facebook video chat, like at least twice a week, I think, sister. Do you think it's twice a week, sister? Maybe, sometimes it was almost every day, and yeah, I feeling really close to her now too. Plus, it helps that we kind of have, very similar lines of work too, because then we'll be like will be like, oh, how dare they do that?
Mhm.
We can talk about that. We can talk about work stuff. But when it comes to, let's say, dating, well, actually, let me just go to friends first, because that's been a really, really tough thing to deal with, because I'm unable to see friends, even just acquaintance friends, that you would see maybe once every 2 weeks out at the bar or something like that. I haven't been able to see anyone that way, and and this is maybe being a little too truthful here, but I miss touching people. I
Oh,
miss hugs. I miss
absolutely.
hugs.
Absolutely.
I live basically alone. I barely got enough hugs as it is when I was living alone, and now I'm like absolutely no touch whatsoever. Um,
I'm going to
when
need
it comes,
everybody to send this host some virtual hugs right now because we want to do more shows in the future and we need her in good spirits.
And you can hug her in the form of tips.
Yes.
well, here actually. So there we go. Send me some coin so I can touch myself.
Because times be tough. Yeah.
Oh, and if you want to tip Tiffany at Tiffany.com, Mercury Wilde, there's yours.
She spelled it right this time. Oh, yeah. I'm seeing some hugs.
I'm
Yeah,
seeing
and
the
then
hugs. Thanks,
Venus. Oh, we're
Tony.
getting
Yeah.
hugs?
Thanks, Alan.
I'm seeing, so I'm seeing
Aw.
Andy said, same, intimacy need some cuddles. And yes, I fully agree with that. And like, I would go out and say that like my love language, one of my biggest things in my love language is intimacy, like touching somebody.
Yeah.
Not even necessarily in like a super sexual way, but like just like being close to someone and like having them like rub on your arm or something like that, or cuddling, or just like someone to put their arm around you. And like they do say, I don't think this is all bullshit. It might be, but cuddling and physical intimacy lowers anxiety and depression and
It does.
all these other things. And so I think that could be, or probably is, a huge player into why we're feeling, why so many other people are feeling the way that they do. Is because something that is such a cure for so many different things, which is just getting a fucking hug, is something that is almost like, it's one of those things that's like what feels illegal but isn't illegal, and it's like it's hugging right now, right?
And there have actually been studies that like have shown that like, but don't quote me on where these studies are from. I just remember reading about them a while ago.
I had heard in a book that somebody told me.
Yeah. But like, it's like hugging and physical contact and intimacy is very, very important for our health and like our emotional health, because if we don't have those things and then we have a deficit of them, we're just not happy over a long term. So it goes without saying that like, stuck in a year where you can't like touch or see anybody, like of course we're not happy. Like that's one of the reasons why we're not happy. So
yeah.
I'm going to take this moment because I remember in high school you read about those studies where they took the baby rhesus monkeys away from their mamas and put them with a fake like toy doll, and it turned that toy doll into mama and would hang on to mama and try to feed off mama and stuff like that. And
I try to feed off of you.
Yeah, and I'm like, I totally understand now why people
suck on those teeth.
People buy the full anatomical kind of dolls. I totally understand now, and if you tip me now, if I raise $20,000 or whatever it takes to buy me a man, I'm going to get one.
And then we'll never see her again. So don't do it.
Never.
So don't do it.
Happy place, will be fine.
Alan, does Tiff need a new toy? Is that what you're saying? I think that is what she's saying.
I need the full, like, head, toes, knees, and...
Well, I was going to ask what forms of socializing do you miss the most, but I guess it's physical contact. Yeah.
I miss the physical contact.
It's been a weird
To answer
year.
that totally honestly, I miss getting together with like the group of like your immediate group and then the couple of stragglers And having like that big ass night where you kind of all get ready together, you start at somebody's house, you go to 3 or 4 different clubs, you end the night, it's 5 in the morning, like the air is still mild outside, those like summer nights. That's what I miss the most. Quickly followed by sex, but
with your friends.
no, sister dick will make you sick.
Okay, we need that on a shirt. Yeah.
What is Courtney saying here?
What did Courtney say? The makeup help from Mercury. Also, when's the last time makeup was ever used? I was having a little bit of lip gloss, so
Yeah.
it's been a while.
Actually, that shade of purple.
It's a condition. I've seen a doctor. It's not contagious.
Yeah, it's just very cold in our home right now. Like, kind of poor heating.
Oh my God, we've descended into madness, insanity.
Yeah.
I told you, but instead of descending into madness by ourselves, we're doing it as a family.
Yeah. But I mean, like, you know, it has been a really, really tough year, and like, but like, there's always some silver lining. So like, I don't know about you, Mercury, but yeah.
Well, yeah, that's kind of something that I have been, you know, kind of choosing to focus on. Not to say that while everything else in the world is happening, that we should completely turn ourselves off to it. But at the same time, it's like, do you guys ever start like doom scrolling where like, especially when something in the world is blowing up, and it just seems like everybody and their dog is posting about it and it's so bad and things just seem so bleak. But one thing that I kind of thought to myself is, if I was working during all of this, I wouldn't have had the chance to go to all of the protests or show up and demonstrate or really just kind of put my undivided attention into what's going on in the world, and, you know, kind of joining all the people and just making that voice stronger. So there are some things that I think came from being at home that are actually, yeah, like what Venus said, small silver linings. And amongst all the madness, when you can kind of pick those out, it makes things seem a little less fucking crazy. Am I right? What are, if any, some silver linings or happy moments or standout moments from last year that you guys have? I'll throw it to Venus first.
I'll catch it. Yeah, I guess like, I think it really helped me like kind of reevaluate how I see my mental health. And that's because like, I think it just like, it really helped me like, okay, like, look, you have to just stop and take time for yourself and like really slow down and like, you know, analyze things that are going on in your life so that you can like, so that it doesn't feel like you're bunching up and like stressing, like, you know, feeling that anxiety that we were feeling through the pandemic, like this weird pandemic that we were going through.
Yeah.
It really helped me see that like I need to, and like, yeah, it helped me realize that I need to take those times for myself. So I started meditating. Like I meditate every day for like 5 or 10 minutes. Some days it's 5 minutes when like you just feel like you can't get into it. Some days it's 10 minutes. And like, it's just one of those things where you're like, you know, it's helped me realize that like, it just helped me realize that that's something that I need in my life. And that's something that I need to practice and really just slow down so that I don't feel that pandemic anxiety, because that is like the worst feeling in the world, because it makes me feel unmotivated. It makes me feel like I don't know what's happening. It makes me feel like the world's falling and like crumbling, and I don't want to feel like that. So it just helped me to like really like, you know, reassess my mental health and like really like, you know, practice at working on it. That's important for myself.
Well, that's a really good point that you bring up, is it's almost like when you're at home, for so many people, when you just have not ever experienced or in a long time having this much time on your hands, you have nothing but yourself and your thoughts, and then it almost kind of like forces you to like confront whatever's happening up here that you would have kind of put on the back burner because you're going to bed and I'm going to work tomorrow morning.
it was like a really like it was one of those things too where it's like I was compartmentalizing like going to work and having the work life and like going home and having the home life. So as all of a sudden when those things were taken away, it was just like, oh my god, like how do I deal with this? It's like just a new situation. So yeah, I just like you just need to like kind of like stop and like if you're not doing well, you need to like slow down and like take some time for yourself. It's like super important.
Absolutely.
Yeah, the self-care, and it's not just it's not just meditation or something. Mindfulness. Like I don't know how many articles we shared with the staff about mindfulness, which is kind of like a meditative kind of process.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's all about self-care too, like being in tune with your body, knowing that you're getting anxious and having some of those tools that that work to get rid of that anxiousness.
Yeah.
And like I said earlier, it's something that I'm working on, and it's always something you need to keep working on. Like some things don't work, some things do work.
That's a really awesome point you bring up. Is I think everybody, more or less everybody, being forced to tap the brakes made us realize or made us really tune into what wasn't working for us. And one of the biggest things that I think wasn't working is the idea of hustle culture, where if you are not doing something or if you're not using your time to like create something that you're going to either monetize or produce, then you're wasting your time, or you're not using your time well at all, or you're being lazy, or you're this, or you're that. And constantly feeling that need to be grinding something out. I think a lot of us, me specifically, I have realized that is not something that A, needs to happen, or B, it's not a healthy way to live. Because I don't know about you guys, but when I would be kind of like doing nothing and sitting around at home, thinking about things I could be doing, I would feel this weird sense of like shame of like, oh, okay, I'm just sitting here and this bitch on Instagram is doing this and comparing myself to a lot of people. So I don't know if you guys have kind of had similar experiences, but I think it's taken a year, but now I've realized that is so unhealthy. And without having to come to a screeching halt, I don't know if myself or others would realize that this is not any way to be living.
No, and it's so true. Like I feel like we could do like a whole episode on shame. And like
write it down. We'll do that. Everyone watching now, stay tuned for the shame episode. We're gonna bring it in.
Because there is a certain kind of shame that comes with like, you see people and they're like, people are like really living out this pandemic and they're like, they're like, oh, I'm working out from home every day and like doing all this stuff. I'm like, oh, I'm doing so well like in this pandemic life. And like you look at that on like your on your social media, because like it's plastered all over. And you're like, oh, like, I don't feel well, but like the thing is that like the I don't feel well are very underrepresented on social media. People don't post that on social media; they don't want you to see it. And the reality is that like that's a very common feeling right now, and we need to like really realize the fact that like a lot of people are feeling like that, and it's okay to feel like that. You don't need to be working out every day to have like the best pandemic life.
Yeah.
And a lot of people are not going to make it out of this, like, out of the pandemic fine. And that's just the reality, and that's okay. Like it's okay not to be okay. Yeah.
Well, I'm just gonna chime in here and say that me trying to figure out the side hustles has gone like 150% now.
She's got 7 podcasts. She's doing 3 online shows. She does real work like, sometimes.
How do I do something and then make money out of it? It's like that's it. Because I've lost the drag shows. The drag shows were a very big part of it. I was able to like when it comes to money wise and stuff, I was able to do fairly well for myself. But then when I lost that income, then there had to be some tough choices and stuff like that. So anyway,
yeah. Well, and it's like this entire topic and discussion of like realizing what things were actually kind of detrimental to your mental health. If we had just kind of kept on going business as usual, literally, I don't know if any of us or some of us would have kind of become in tune to that. But kind of like what Venus was saying, having all this time, I've picked up a few kind of new hobbies. There's this online site called Skillshare where you can sign up and take these classes.
This is not
And so,
sponsored, by the way. Just
this is not sponsored. This is not sponsored. However, Skillshare, if you're listening, I am a loyal customer, and this show needs to be sponsored.
Yeah.
I'm hearing Skillshare, but I keep hearing OnlyFans.
Yeah. I loved how many people started an OnlyFans account, and I just think it's so amazing. I'm like, you live your life, you masturbate to the gods for me, do whatever you want. There's also people on OnlyFans who are like athletes and trainers who are like doing their like training videos for you. I think it's just like it's such an amazing way to use that tool and platform. I don't even think OnlyFans expected it to be used that way, but you know what? It works. It's good. Yeah.
OnlyFans is the small business of the porn industry right now. Support small business. Pornhub and everything else is the Costco's and the Walmarts and the Amazons. They're fine. Go to OnlyFans, pay the fucking whatever $4 to $10 it is a month, and get you some small business porn. Support small businesses.
And let me tell you, if you want to see a bussy, I think I have a lead.
Did you say bussy?
She said bussy. I don't even think she knows what that means. But okay.
Yeah, Grandma.
Bussy. Pussy. I know exactly what it means.
Okay, now we're gonna pull up a diagram of the human anatomy, and I want you to point to where the pussy is.
Where's my stuffed animals now? This is where the pussy is.
Well, I think aside from all these kinds of things that we're doing to adapt and like create these new coping mechanisms, or find these new coping mechanisms when you're feeling down or when you're feeling a certain type of way, is something that we should be promoting more on social media. Because I saw this quote and it really kind of resonated with me, because I don't know about y'all, but I compare myself to people on social media fucking all the time, and I get myself feeling all kinds of ways about it. But I saw a quote that said, Instagram and social media is someone's highlight reel, and everything else in your life is behind the scenes because you're not posting about it. So when you start comparing your behind the scenes to someone's highlight reel, you're setting yourself up to be in such a bad headspace, which again, this could be a whole topic for a show, but it's like, that's just like where social media really becomes kind of like a dark place. Inadvertently. So if we have more people posting like those ugly pictures, or posting just saying, I'm not feeling 100% and I don't exactly know why, and then just normalizing that, I hope is something that we can see going forward as people are starting to come out of the pandemic, because there is the light at the end of the tunnel. I think that if we're not seeing it, maybe we need to be the ones to start doing it, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Like, and we have to do it. Like, and it's one of those things. It's like, you know what? There's a lot of dad bods out there, pandemic dad bods, and I am all for you. Okay, I love you. Show me your body. I want to see it. It looks beautiful. Start an OnlyFans. Okay, like it's.
Oh, you want to see some dad bod, honey?
I want some belly in there. Like, give me some belly.
Something you can grab. Something you can grab onto.
Oh, sleep on, you know?
when I can cuddle again, I want a lot to cuddle.
Yeah.
By the time we're going to be able to cuddle again, it's going to be cold outside, and I want something to keep me warm.
Yeah.
Oh.
What?
That's what.
You just want something to put over your head.
That's what she does with the foreskin. She
wants a hat.
La porte open.
New form of docking, and it's called stalking.
You know, what else are we going to do for the rest of the evening? I'm going to finish my drink off.
Something that I wanted to do quickly, I would like to hear what you guys have for your top 3 albums of 2020. And there's no right or wrong answers. There is only judgment. So I will go first. My top album, obviously, is Katy Perry's. No, I'm just kidding. Is Chromatica by Gags, followed by Sawayama by Rina Sawayama. If you don't know who she is, like Venus didn't, you should look her up. And third would be Ungodly Hour by
I love Ungodly Hour.
Chloe and Halle. Those two, with all their little quarantine performances and everything they were doing, they were keeping us going through the pandemic. So that's those are my three.
I listened to that track so many times on repeat. Like specifically the B&A one where they're like in the gold, like they're like in the silver.
Oh,
like,
those silver! Oh my god!
Yeah, girl, we have a show coming up. we're gonna get some aluminum.
We're gonna get some tin foil. Yes. Okay, go girl.
I don't even remember what the question was. I just heard you talk about
top three albums. Go.
Oh, girl, I don't even like. Okay, so I am a classical pianist.
No wrong answers, only judgment.
Ungodly Hour was definitely one of my top lines, and obviously Lady Gaga's Chromatica, because like I ran to that and went to the beach every day this summer, last summer. But like other than that, like if anyone likes classical music, I've been playing and listening to Albines recently, which is this cool Spanish classical pianist from Spain.
She's a lady of the world.
Yeah, and then also a lot of Chopin because she's just a classic. So, but like other than that, yeah, I had to agree. Ungodly Hour was absolutely amazing.
Got snubbed at the Grammys, but
it did.
The Grammys are full of shit. So
yeah, I don't really listen to a lot of contemporary music, so those are my top picks.
Okay.
Yeah. And you, Tyffanie, how about you? What are your top albums?
I'm feeling a little challenged here.
Do you even watch the show, Tamar?
In her case, they're older than classical music. She likes the drums.
I like two stones.
Back when they banged rocks on the
Oh, is this a new track? Oh yeah.
Is this what they call a bop?
He's like Gregorian chanting. Woo!
Well, it's funny you should say that. Yeah, Kylie Minogue was a big album for me.
Absolutely. Yes.
Say something, you know.
But you know what? It wasn't a good summer for dancing, so I think that's why I didn't listen to like a lot of the tracks. Like I like hits where I like would usually listen to them. I wasn't hearing them as often, so I was just playing the stuff that I usually play, which is classical music, versus like I think the summer before it was just like
that's fair.
Well, I liked how Kylie, because she was releasing it during the pandemic, and a lot of the stuff was it felt like she was playing around with the whole pandemic. She did like live things that were like social distance or like in virtual and stuff like that. So so Kylie would be like my number one for 2020. Chromatica was there was a couple of songs on Chromatica that I really liked.
A couple.
I know. Mercury, I could feel the stares.
I'm like, someone's gonna get slapped when the pandemic is over.
I'm a little challenged for the third one because there was a lot of good music. Like there was Dua Lipa out, I think, released an album right in 2020.
Yep.
And,
the Taylor Swift one. Taylor Swift did one too. What did she?
But
no.
In 2020,
I mean, she did, but
released album.
I like the one song. But in 2020, I started listening to. There's this whole radio channel and record label called Glitterbox. I don't know if you've heard about it, but I've fallen like madly in love with it. So I listened to the radio show.
Girl, I didn't know my Glitterbox was showing. Here, let me adjust. Oh, sorry.
But it's
demure.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's just it. 2020 was filled of such good music that nobody could dance to. Like that was the hardest part, is all of these amazing dance, like 80s inspired dance records coming out, and none of us could go and fuck it up in the club.
But it was like you got to listen to it live. Like I don't know how many DJs I signed into Twitch and just watched
Yep.
them do something live and just start dancing in my living room, sort of thing.
Girl, but that's not the same as having a stranger sweat on you and being in the middle of the foggy dance floor.
Yeah,
And
you know, the contact highs that you would get in Fly Nightclub. I know exactly what you're talking about.
I will just say, if there are any DJs watching or anyone who runs events once life gets back to normal, I swear to God, you better play the music from 2020 that we couldn't dance to, or we will revolt. I don't want to hear any new shit. I want to hear everything that happened last year before we start on the new stuff. Okay? Period.
It's okay. I don't think this particular year will be a good year for music. So I think we'll be able to push it forward.
Oh,
well,
if
I think we've done it.
If you want to tip me, here's my email address, Tyffanie@Tyffanie.com.
Don't tip me. Send me your babies.
Send Venus your babies at
And-
this email address.
And don't tip me. Just send me dick pics, please. That is my currency.
At that email address. Just
At that email address.
D.
Yeah.
Send me. That's all I want.
My name is Tyffanie Morgan.
I'm Venus Darogue.
And I am Mercury Wilde. And this has been the first installment of the Rendez-View. Oh my God, we did it. And we stayed consistently over 10 viewers the whole time. I just want to point that out. I think that
That is good. That is good.
Well, thank you everybody so much for tuning in. This was a lot of fun. This is something that we've been conceptualizing and coming up with the past couple of weeks to kind of just use our time and be creative and connect with our little drag family again. So stay tuned. Follow all of us on our social medias. Most of ours are just our names. And you will hear when we are coming up with more episodes of The Rendezview. So with that, I think we're going to sign off, but we will catch everybody next time.
Yeah. Have a good night.
All right, sweeties. Good night.
And get your vaccine when you can. Bitch.